Negotiation is a life skill, yet so many dietitians struggle to negotiate higher pay. And I get it, the topic's a little bit taboo. Today we're going to talk all about negotiating higher pay for your salary as a clinical dietitian. You're not happy with your pay as a clinical dietitian or the pay that you're offered. If you can relate, today's video should offer you some tactics that you can apply right away. Stay tuned. So you don't need me to remind you that the pay for dietitians is really low. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics has the average pay at around $60,000 or $65,000, yet we're required to have a master's degree in 2024, and dietitians are required to complete a mostly unpaid dietetic internship for like 1,200 hours. So there's a lot of schooling required considering that our pay in the field is low. That means we have a high debt to income ratio, which means that we go into the field with a lot of debt, but we're not paid back a rate that really helps us get our feet off the ground. And that can cause a lot of problems. So let's discuss what that means and how you can negotiate a higher rate. Now, I know that can feel scary because you probably don't have a lot of options. At least I didn't when I first applied for a job. I was offered like $45,000 or something like that with a master's degree in New York City. And I mean, I couldn't take that job, but there also weren't too many jobs available or open, or the jobs that were available said you needed to be a certified diabetes educator. So I had a hard time finding even an option that would work. So I almost got a little desperate, to be honest. I'm a little embarrassed about it. And I was looking at New Jersey, Connecticut, New York. I mean, I just couldn't believe how hard it was to find a decent job. So I feel for you as a dietitian who's not only looking for a position, but looking for a position that, won't put you out on the street. Now, everyone has a different circumstance, right? You might be living with family, you might have a partner or a spouse. So keep in mind that we all have different walks of life and different familial support at different times. But for me, I had to pay off my student debt, and I was living in Manhattan, and I ended up taking a job for $55,000. And I mean, do I need to say any more? The whole experience was just, it sucked. So I want to tell you how you can negotiate a higher rate. I was able to negotiate a raise at some point at that job, but it was very slow and incremental. And this is a loaded topic. Negotiation skills, it's such an important topic, but for some reason, us dietitians really struggle. And there's a lot of reasons. The reasons can be internal with us, and the reasons can also have to do with the need for the position. So there's a lot of issues at play. And we're not gonna unpack it, unless if you want, let me know in the comments below. We can do another video and talk more about theory and talk more about the reasons as to why, and that video will look a little different, less tactical than today's video. But today I want you to walk away with some tips and tricks of what you can do to make more money as a dietitian. In fact, I did a whole presentation at Columbia University about this exact topic, I think like 4 years ago, talking about negotiating higher pay as a dietitian. So I have been talking about this for a long time. If you're wondering what a reasonable salary negotiation looks like, research shows, if you have looked up this topic, you don't want to go above 10 or 20% of the initial offer. Okay, that's what research shows. And there's a lot of ways you can do this. It also depends on what the position offers and the benefits and all that kind of stuff. But that's a good baseline to think about, that 10 to 20% above the initial entry offer. So if you're wondering what are the tips for negotiating your salary, here they are. Know your worth. And I mean, it's easy to say that. It's easy to put that on an Instagram post. But you can actually double check that by going online, go to PayScale. You can start looking up jobs to see in your area, what are people paying? And it's easy to do that. You just go on the internet and search positions that might be open around where you live. Now, if you live in a more rural area, you might have to expand the zip code, but you can start to get a sense of what the positions are like surrounding where you live or something adjacent to the position you're looking for. I mean, do your best. If you want a video on me looking at pay rates for dietitians for entry-level jobs that are open in New York, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Ohio, whatever, comment below. That'd be fun. So in knowing your worth, you can look at PayScale, look online, look at current other job positions and what they're offering, but also double check with the Academy. The Academy has a tool called the Academy Salary Calculator, and you can input a bunch of variables and it'll spit out what the average salary is, and you can use that as a negotiation tactic with your employer. And that is a great tool. It is only available if you are a member of the Academy. So, I mean, there's a lot of advantages for being a member. I suggest it in addition to getting access to some of the research and the perks and the networking. So I do suggest becoming a member and getting access to that tool. Timing is another factor when it comes to negotiating your salary as a clinical dietitian. So, I mean, it might sound obvious that like on a random Thursday, you're not just going to ask for a raise, or you're not just going to randomly ask for higher amount of money if you're in an interview process. So you got to make sure that the timing fits your scenario. For example, if you're already in a position and you're looking for a raise, you might want to wait for your annual review or your 6-month or quarterly review. That's one option. Another option is that you go into the interview process if you're being interviewed, and you can bring data with you in research and statistics and let them know this is your rate and this is why you want to choose this rate, and then you have leverage because you've done your homework. So those are two different ways that you can approach that time factor. You're not just going to randomly do it. You're going to think this through. Again, think about when do you get your annual reviews or your regular reviews at your job, or think about how you want to be prepared for an interview. If you have questions about being prepared for an interview as a dietitian to ask for a higher salary, comment below and I'll do another video on that if there's interest. Now, assertiveness, one of my favorite topics, and it's also very challenging, especially as dietitians who are new grads, and you might be feeling really awkward and you like don't feel like an expert and you feel intimidated, and that's understandable. Practicing assertive communication is the gold standard of communication, and being assertive and being aware of your surroundings and being able to communicate and do so effectively, it's a skill. It's a life skill. It's arguably one of the most important life skills. So if you can get in the habit of practicing assertive communication, you can really build your ability and your courage to ask for the amount of money that, well, basically based on your research, that's owed to you, that you deserve, that makes sense for the position and for your experience level and for the knowledge that you're going to bring to this role. So assertive communication looks like practicing active listening, communicating your wants and needs and desires, but doing so in a way that is timed appropriately, and you're able to really be responsive and engaging with somebody else. So you definitely don't want to practice any communication where you're overly passive or overly aggressive. You want to strike that balance and really think about being assertive. Again, it's a skill. It's something that you can practice and learn with time. A lot of our clients improve their communication skills and their assertive communication skills just by nature of working with us and learning the Dietitian Boss frameworks and processes with me and our team. So it's a skill that you can build, but you do have to pay attention to it. I know I talked about the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics salary calculator, but I want to actually show it to you. So it's pretty cool. In this salary calculator, which I have used before, you have a lot of options as a member to enter the specifics of your position, or if you're looking for a new position, right? Let's say you want to find another position and show them what you would accept as minimum pay, you can enter in the variables, and then you can learn what is industry standard according to this tool. And it's the most accurate way to get a baseline. So again, you do have to be a member, but it's totally worth it for the tool, especially if you're looking to practice salary negotiation. Now you might be wondering, how can a clinical dietitian make more money? Well, I want to tell you that I did negotiate my salary and I got a raise, but it took like 4 years. It took too long and the raise wasn't enough, so I ended up leaving. And if you feel like you're not getting what you want and things aren't working out and you're not happy and you've practiced the tactics I've shared, it might be time for you to build another revenue stream. You can create an online course, and that's what I did when I was working as a clinical dietitian. I also had a private practice on the side, and I created an online course. The moment that my life changed is when I went virtual, because I didn't understand the power of going virtual. I could reach more people. I could charge a rate that I had no idea people would pay. And it was a really cool way for me to practice, using my creativity. And I really enjoyed being able to help dietitians by creating this online course. I showed dietitians how to make money online. And before that, I had created a bunch of courses for clinicians and I delivered them in person. I had never created an online course. So when I took the model of course creation online, my life transformed. I was able to make back my clinical salary from my first online course in 6 months. And then I went full time and I was able to leave my private practice and my clinical job because I was able to make so much money create so much impact from my online course business. And at that point, I was also offering coaching. And then later I started creating masterminds, and then much later a membership. So I was able to progress my business with time, but it all started with making additional revenue on the side, specifically with my online course. So if you're feeling like you're not getting the money that you deserve, or you want to build an additional revenue stream for financial security, creating an online course, or even looking into teaching or speaking or doing some consults on the side, some coaching, group programming, brand sponsorships, the options are endless as a dietitian. There's so many different types of things that we can do to make money, whether we want to make it a side hustle or we say, you know what, we want this to be full time. And you don't have to choose. You can just start with something and then decide later if you want to, make it full time. But the point is that you don't only have one option as a clinical dietitian. You have multiple options. And if you want to employ the option of building another business while you're working your full-time job, you can absolutely do that. And you can also do that while you ask for a raise following the tactics I shared above. If you like this video, I want you to watch my next video about building multiple revenue streams.